Go, last one.
Hey, fat fish heads! It's time for another edition of the hottest new podcast on all platforms, Fat Fish. Sit back and strap yourself in for the wildest ride on the open seas. Now, flap your fins for the fabulous Fat Fish brothers, Eric Fish Snyder and Brad Grunny Grunberg, a.k.a. Snacks.
Yes, sir. That's me, Snacks. How are you?
I'm great. Great.
Yep.
It's our New Year's Eve show, buddy. Even though we're not really New Year's Eve live, we're not, Ryan Seacrest or Anderson Cooper. It's our version of the New Year's Eve show number 42, correct?
That's right. 42 here. Good numbers. I'm into numerology. And last one of the year, man. Can you believe we've done 42 shows? I mean, it's crazy. It just flies by. It's been a great time. God, has it been fun. We got a lot more to do, my friend. A lot more to do. By the way, I want to tell a story. New Year's, I think it's for amateurs, okay? I've had a lot of fun. I've done a lot of things. I worked the Tropicana a couple times on New Year's. But I want to tell you this one story. There's a lawyer, a Beverly Hills lawyer called Paul Fegan. And for maybe 3 decades, he threw one of those, not a half party, but like one step below half, with kind of the classic New Year's party with all the stars and all the trimmings. And so I went 5 years in a row, put on my tuxedo, and in the last year I only got 1 ticket, so it was just me. So it's half an hour left in that year, and I'm standing there and I see Keith Olbermann from ESPN with his date, Jeannie Buss, who just married my buddy Jay Moore. And Jeannie Buss back then, well, Jeannie Buss today is hot, smoking hot. Jeannie Buss back then was really smoking hot. So I'm saying, all right, they're dates, right? What's going to happen on New Year's? Usually, whoever your date is, you kiss your date, right? You make out with your date. So I was going to make out with myself. I was looking for somebody to kiss, but no one would kiss me. I see how bored you are. So the countdown began. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year! So I look over at Keith Olbermann, and he looks at Jeannie Buss, and he gives her a high five. I swear to God, I'm like, you moron. Jeannie Buss is hot. And she had a look on her face, a high five, like Steve Yeager coming around third on a home run, high-fiving Tommy Lasorda. It's just fucking nuts. Olbermann, get your fucking tongue out and put it down Jeannie Buss's throat. Crazy, man. What would you have done?
Olbermann, I could never, ever talk shit about because he was a regular customer at Mom's Saloon. I couldn't believe how tall he was. Did you see remember how tall he was, Brad? He had to be like 6'5", 6'7".
Yeah.
And great sense of humor. And we remember him before he went to ESPN. He was a local CBS sports guy with Jim Hill when he grew up. And
CBS or Channel 5. Right. Exactly. And then he moved over. Yeah. No, he was great. I mean, I loved him as a sportscaster, but I have a feeling the guy needs some help in the social department. You know what I'm saying? He's kind of
he dated Buss. I remember he dated Rebecca Lobo. I saw him somewhere. Rebecca Lobo was a big, tall basketball player, and it was just they looked awkward together. Like it was one of those dates on Match.com that didn't go well, and they looked at their watches and stuff like that. So We have a
Yeah.
New Year's Eve. We have a lot of things we want to get to, and you talked about is that one. I'm going to let you go first and talk about some of your favorite New Year's Eve experiences. Mine all have to do with being in the bar business, but that's a great story. Talk about the favorite New Year's Eve you've ever had at the Hollywood Tropicana.
Well, some of them were busy and some of them were not. But I put on my regular show, but we had champagne. We made it for the people that came to the Tropicana. It was a little sad because it's like you're here at the Tropicana. I guess you're kind of maybe a little bit lonely. You know what I'm saying? Because I think a strip club is kind of the last place you want to be on New Year's, kind of, sort of. If you're not with your buddies, if you're not with your pals, and a lot of these guys were alone, but I made it fun. I'm everybody's friend, and guys wrestled. It was just the last one I remember was a great show, and this one hot girl, her name let's see, her name escapes me. Her name was Joni. No, her name was Susie, and on the New Year's, she turned around and gave me a tongue kiss. Just started making out with me right in front of the crowd. So I was like, that's pretty damn good. Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. Let's do this. So she was a good kisser. Of course, I was a better kisser. I taught her a couple of tricks I have, with the tongue. But yeah, it's always been good, for me. And hanging out with beautiful women, and I love that job for 14 years. How about you?
My favorite one goes back to my first year ever working at Mom's Saloon. We had a wonderful human being on our podcast named Ash Gindy. And I was sort of like, imagine he's Tony Manero from Saturday Night Fever. And I'm just a young guy who wants to hang out and dance like him. And we're working New Year's Eve at Mom's Saloon, 82 to 83. And oh my God, I'm so tired. And he goes, guess what? Guess where we're going? He puts me in his Porsche. Here's a Porsche. And we go to the Playboy Mansion. And it's 2:00 in the morning. And Hugh Hefner thinks that Ash, because Ash looks like Aladdin, with the blue eyes. You saw Ash on our podcast, and gorgeous kid. It's blue-eyed, dark-haired Egyptian guy. And he says, I'm Egyptian. You're going to be my wingman. You're Egyptian. Have you ever been to the Playboy Mansion, Brad?
I have some bad stories about the Playboy Mansion. I tried to get in 3 times, and I was denied. My one buddy, he worked as a butler, my buddy Mitch, and I did a couple favors for him, and I said, you got to get me to the Playboy Mansion. No problem, no problem. And I fly my buddies in. My buddy owned a limo company. I had the best limo. We were, it was unbelievable. We're all there, and we get to the Rock. That Rock, where you have to check in with the security. And my buddy Mitch said, I flew him in from Vegas. He took a job. He left just as the maybe 2 weeks before the New Year's party. So I said, you better fly in, talk to Kimberly Hefner. That was his wife at the time. And he says, I took him to the back gate. He went in. He did his pleasantries. He said, is my friend. Here's the names, blah, blah, blah. And he said, you're in. So I get to the Rock, and I tell the guard, the security, my name. He goes, you're not on the list. I go, what? I'm not on the list. I get on my phone. I call him in Vegas. I give the phone to the security, and he's doing his song and dance. And the guy goes, I feel for you. I just can't let you in if you're not on the list. And we were denied. So where do you think we went to drown our sorrows? Pink's Hot Dogs, baby.
I knew it.
Right? And then another time I used my brother's ID because he was married. He didn't want to go. So you had to go to UCLA under like the parking structure, and they had a table set up, and you go and you show them your ID, and then you get on this minibus and you go up to the mansion. So this girl goes, oh, okay. Hello, Greg. How are you? You're in. Bus will be here in about 5 minutes. All of a sudden, her boss comes in back of her and looks at the ID and looks at me and says, you're not Greg Grunberg. I go, what? I am Greg. Look, there's my ID.
Keep going.
Okay. So she denied me. That was number 2. And what was number three? Number three was something similar. A buddy of mine said he had juice at the mansion, but I got denied 3 times. I got denied. Is it all what it's cracked up to be? Did you have fun? Is there just beautiful starlets? I heard you were in the grotto. Is that true? You jumped in your underwear. Is that true? The grotto is the hot tub, right? It's like a cave or something, and you go in there and Do you remember the grotto? Do you remember being at the mansion? Do you remember me?
Well,
I'm Snacks.
I'm losing audio on you. Hang on a second. I'm losing
great.
audio on you.
That's the way we should end this year. More technical difficulties.
Well, I hear you now. I hear you perfectly. So, you got any chatter in the back from us?
No, it's good.
Sound good. So love your stories, but I didn't get to finish my story because I'm 22 years old, and it's fun walking past the line when you see people like Stallone and his brother, and they all give that look like, who the fuck is this guy? Every single actor and actress look at you like, even if you and your great brother walked in the line, all the big A stars are going to go, who's that? They know who you are, but they had no idea who Ash and I were. Make a long story short, the Playboy Mansion's like everything you've seen in every Entourage episode where Vinny and the boys are having these great parties. And Brad, you've been to those Hollywood parties before. There's people throwing fire and there's pools everywhere. Everywhere there's a pool. And Hugh Hefner's walking around with that long cigarette with the robe and his underwear on and girls on each arm. It's exactly what you pictured and what you've heard. And it was the best New Year's Eve I've ever had. I'm a bartender. I've worked many of them, and you're right. It's a lot of amateurs that come in. What kind of shots do you have? And they blow in the, when they come and all right, bring it on. And then when you get to be our age, everyone, when you're in your 60s, you're just glad you get to see another New Year's.
I'm 38. Speak for yourself.
You have a problem with that. Yeah, one of your legs is 38. I keep saying that in every podcast.
You say you're 60. How old are you? I don't know.
I'm 63.
Oh, you look okay for 63.
You look good. You look great. You have graveyard shift, and I do like New Year's Eve because I'm like you, positivity, and the next year's always gonna be better than the last year, and that's how I look at life. What about you?
Yes. Absolutely.
Cheers.
I always believe it always gets better in life, and you learn.
It's a great life, and I want to talk to you about a lot of sports today because tonight what?
Oh, did you want me to answer that question? Okay, forget.
Yeah, answer it.
No, I was going to answer it. You said, how about you? And I was answering that question.
Oh, go ahead.
And then you cut me off like usual. But
I always do.
No, you want to learn, like what you learn in 2023, you move on to 2024. And we have a lot of things we're working on. And I believe 2024 is our year. That's what I really believe. In my heart of hearts, I really think that this is going to be a very special year. So, yeah.
Right. I'm before we get to some fun and some memes and talk about sports and our lives and our New Year's resolution, we're really big with a really good friend of ours, and I'll make this short and sweet because there's no Debbie Downers today. But if Fat Fish has one philanthropy that we're going to follow throughout 2024, it's anti-bullying, especially at the younger level of kids. And we had Andrew Klein on, a tremendous human being that went through the biggest tragedy. And I put Molly's challenge on there first as a quick thing. I'm involved in Bar Boss, and Bar Boss is a campaign started by Brian Cranston and Aaron Paul, and they're using bartenders. What I get is money, and I get my picture on Bartenders Magazine, and Chuck's Tavern will get some props. But the main thing is anti-bullying. It's a campaign for anti-bullying. And I'm in the top 10 in the country right now.
Wow.
I'm in the race for all the guys and gals that are doing this because of you out there and friends and family. You can vote for me one day, once a day. And
wow, that's
I'm giving half the money to my staff or the staff that works at the entire staff at Chuck's Tavern and the managers. I'm giving some money to Brad, and I'm taking the rest. And I why not? You deserve it, Brad. You can't eat fast food every fucking day. Go to Olive Garden.
How much you get? $20? How do you split that?
Whatever I get. I'm really you need to talk more about this, and I'll quiet, because we need to stop bullying. And we're going to say it in every show. I hear my customers talking about their kids and the goddamn cell phones, what they're doing to people, and we have enough crap in the world. Let's start being nicer to each other.
I absolutely agree with you. It's a terrible, terrible thing, because when I was talking to Andrew, I said, did Molly ever come to you and say, Dad, or go to her mom and say, and they're a very close family, I'm being made fun of. I'm being made fun of at school. There it is. Molly was the sweetest. I mean, the salt of the earth. I mean, this girl, great, incredible grades, got along with everybody. Beautiful girl. I mean, beautiful. Only 13 years old, but Andrew told me she felt like trapped. She didn't want to be a tattletale. That's the big thing. She didn't want to tattle on these people that were making fun of her. And I'm going to tell you something. These people are cowards. Cowards, okay? Their lives are going right in the fucking drain, right down the toilet. So they feel better bullying and making fun of other kids who are happy or popular or whatever. And it's got to stop, and it's going to stop. And we're going to do everything here at Fat Fish to do that.
Right. Well said. Well said, Bravo. I put a picture up there, someone of a bully, but I'll get to that. I got some different memes. There's bullying, and then there's having fun. And tonight, and I'm gonna let Brad go. The Arizona Wildcat football team, coached by Jed Fish, is playing the Oklahoma Sooners in a big bowl game tonight, which I know Brad be watching. I'll be watching. And when you get to play Oklahoma in a bowl game this close to New Year's, it means you had a great fucking season. And this is the bowl season. We got the playoffs. Monday was my son's birthday. Max turned 32 years old. We're giant Raider fans. The Raiders have beaten the Kansas City Chiefs, I think, 3 times in the last 35 years. I met Brad 32 years ago. So, Brad was actually really 38 the last time the Raiders beat. So check out some of these memes that I have. And you all know about, Patrick Mahomes. Turnovers, anyone? Because he was throwing turnovers and fumbling. So we're gonna have fun. It's not bullying. Yeah. It's just having fun, making fun. We all know about. And I want Brad's take on this about Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, and they show it every fucking 5 minutes. They show her in the booth, either doing this or Mahomes, stupid trashy wife. Check this out. After the Raiders win the game, check her out. Check out who she's checking out. Hey, there's Max Crosby. Sorry, Travis. Guy.
Yeah. Look at him. He's sad. Oh, that's funny.
He's sad. So that was a lot of fun.
I mean, the Raiders are really gelling, man. I mean, I tell you, the last game they played out, we were texting, and I say, I think you got it. And you're like, I don't know, it's early, and all that stuff. And then, I mean, I couldn't believe it. It was great. And I love the.
You know what it is? It's like an NCIS script. Take the Mark Harmon NCISs. In the first 5 minutes, someone gets killed. And in an hour, they all come together with all the forensics, and they figure out this thing in 2 minutes, right? The Raiders against the Chiefs is the same script. When it's 20, you've done this with your teams are great, the Warriors, but take a team that you feel jaded about, and you're winning 20-7, and you just in the back of your head, why do I think this other team's going to win unless Hail Mary and beat us? And then we win, and it's wonderful. So before we get to some of the bowl predictions and I got stuff like that, look at some of these great gifts that people got for the holidays. Can you read this one for our listeners on Podbean and all our outlets?
Hookers and blow. Save Christmas. Oh, that's funny.
That's a calendar.
Oh, it's a calendar. Oh, for 2024. Hookers and blow. Save Christmas.
And it looks like the SpongeBob characters, right, Brad?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah, look at this card that Brad got.
What is a hooker? Oh,
that's a card that Brad got.
There's money in it. Oh, that's great.
Merry Christmas. There's money for our listeners. There's about $100 in cash, and the card says "Not for weed. Love mom. Merry Christmas. You love dad. Merry Christmas. Love mom." That's great. Like the kid's gonna listen. You know,
I had a talk with a friend of mine about this. Would you smoke pot with your son? If
no,
you Oh, okay, okay. That's a no-no, right? I know a father that goes outside, a buddy of mine, goes outside with his son and they smoke pot at a party and everybody's looking at him like, "What are you doing?" You know, "You're smoking pot with your son?" I don't know. Is that like having a drink now? I don't know. I never smoked pot.
maybe
So
now. I
yeah.
rephrase that. If would you feel comfortable when you were 17 years old doing a joint with Jerry? I don't know. I wouldn't. But now that
I,
Max is 32 and I don't smoke pot, but if he, I would probably take a toke because look how nervous I am. I'm a nervous idiot around you, but you get me excited. But no, if the kid,
everybody is
let's
everybody's
reframe
nervous
this.
around me.
If the kid's an adolescent, no. But as an adult, probably.
Okay. Okay. No,
Do
I
you
just
have a drink with did your dad drink?
No, no, we don't. Yeah, my dad, socially, growing up, some wine. My mom loved the white wine spritzer. That was her drink wherever we went to a restaurant. No, my dad never really drank. I only drank in college a lot, and then University of Arizona. And come on over for some free Bud Lights. What's your name? I was the rush chairman, and damn glad to meet you. And Yeah, I mean, I used to carry around a portable bar, and I went to all the girls' dorms and sororities. I made martinis. I made martinis for all the girls. That was great. Oh my gosh, that's why they started calling me Mr. Cocktails. But yeah. Oh, Max and I
You
have to have a sit down and have a drink at Chuck's because we have stories to share from Bear Down, Arizona, baby.
Oh, you when Tommy Boy came out, I know one of your favorite people is Chris Farley. When
Yeah.
Tommy Boy came out, you looked at that character and said, "That's me. That's me in college. The fun guy that hung out with everybody and got everyone, drinks and was your dorm room the party room when you were in college?"
Well, I was a dorm rat. I'm still trying to figure out what the fuck I stayed in the dorm for 3 years, but I figured out I did because the bathroom was right in front of my door. So one, I had access when at night. I didn't have to come all the way down the hall to go to the bathroom, and I can smell other guys' shit when the door opened. But it was. Let me put it this way: I had a great time. I was in Kaibab Bachuca, but I was on the Kaibab side. And but then my senior year, I got an apartment at Lincoln Green 214 with the great Harry Cohn, my buddy, my fraternity buddy, and we had fun in that apartment. Oh yeah, in that apartment we had fun, but I had a great time. Remember, I've spoken about my losing my virginity. That was in my dorm room. And oh, by the way, one year I had the dorm room to myself. I didn't have a roommate. That's pretty cool, right? I'm such a loser.
That's insane. It never happens. Never.
Right.
Never happens. And talk about Brad. Talk about when I even text the dorm rooms. A typical dorm room is about the size of a big master bathroom in Beverly Hills.
I have a dorm.
They fit two beds. Sometimes they're bunk. You got a little station for each computer. And then, did you have in your dorm? Did you have the bathroom that 4 other rooms had to share, or did you have down the hallway?
No. This was just two guys like a cellie. like when you're in a cell, just two guys.
What, they give you a pot to shit in?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I had my my hot pot.
Oh God!
Of course, to make my what were those things? What are those things? They're like what was it? They're like pastries, but inside hot pockets. Hot pockets. I ate a lot of hot pockets. By the way, I wanted to ask you a question. You're a really smart guy. Not that funny, but you're very smart. Did you study at the University of Texas, or did you cheat your way like me?
Studied.
Really? You really
I
studied?
Did.
Wow.
I was a smart kid. I was.
Oh, yeah, you're a smart kid. You are. You're very,
I was a smart guy. I mean, yeah. I was horrible. This is what I couldn't stand in college and in high school. I was horrible at math, but great at literature and history. Math. And the reason why I always say to him, I used to rest in peace my dad. I'd say, Dad, why do I have to fucking do this math? Greatest line ever. Marv said, he goes, you know what math is? It's problem solving. And in life, you're going to have to solve problems. I never knew that. And then, when you took these English classes, you have to communicate with people. Like I communicate with Brad. So for all these young people that are watching and you think, well, I have to do this, that's why. It teaches you to do things later on in life.
That's funny. My dad said something similar. I go, Dad, I'm taking all these bullshit classes. What? He goes, listen, you're going to retain 1% of what you learn in college, and that's to live your life. That's it. Because I think about atmospheric science, Greek mythology. What the fuck was I taking these classes for, right? But I had, oh God, I had some great teachers, man. I had some really smart teachers that knew what were going on. Like,
what was your favorite subject? Mine was history. What was yours?
My favorite was Park Center. That was where I ate. Park Center next to Confab. I go in there and have a nice meal. That was my favorite class, you know.
You remember when you went to they call it a cafeteria? Remember when you went to cafeteria in middle school or grade school and it was pizza day? And the pizza was always good. In LA Unified Schools, the pizza was fantastic. How many times did you play the I'm hungry card back then and scour pizza from somebody?
Oh, you mean like, are you going to eat that? You're not going to throw that away.
Exactly.
I did that on a daily basis.
Speaking of a daily basis, I get a lot of. I don't share a lot of the emails with you. You know, it's criticism, constructive criticism, a lot of.
Very nice.
And I take it all in context and say, I take everything. I think, okay, how can we make this a better show? Well, get rid of me and then you do it, and that would help. But one thing people say is we love it, Fish, when you go back and you talk about the 70s and the 80s with Brad, because it's a lost art. So I found these pictures of TV stars in the 70s and 80s, and I would like you to encapsulate in 30 seconds to amount to the same what it meant to you on this New Year's and what it meant to society, and God bless should we have it back. Here's the first guy. I did a tease on it earlier. This is my favorite TV star of the 70s. Who was that, Brad?
Carroll O'Connor. He played Archie Bunker on All in the Family. Wow, what an actor. He was everything you don't want to be, a bigot. He hit women, you know, the whole nine. But what an actor, and what a very nice man. He was. I met him one time. Very nice man. See, you know what's great?
He is. You're an excellent writer. Your family, and you know. If we do anything in 2024, we're gonna take a slice out of. I finished it. A slice out of this world. O'Connor played 11 years on that show, and it showed a character that was such a racist and a misogynist, like you said. And the arc of how his character changed, that when he left, he was lovable like you and I. And they did it. So, I mean, the writers. Norman Lear just passed away in his 90s. You probably knew.
No. Wait a minute. 101. What are you talking about?
101. He made.
Yeah.
But Norman didn't. Wait a minute. Correct me if I'm wrong. Did Norman Lear create the show?
Yes. Okay. And the Jeffersons. And
okay. So he did this too, right? Who's that?
Who? There he is, George Jefferson, baby. I love it. Moving on up to the east side.
You remember how we walked down the hallway in the beginning of that show? People, go on YouTube. We're showing you these memes of people. These are shows that Brad and I grew up with, and we watched it with our parents, and you learn from it. Okay? Yeah. George Jefferson was a racist and a misogynist, just like Archie Bunker, and blamed the whole thing, you know, on the establishment. But he's a guy who came from the streets and made it big in the, what did he do? He did dry cleaning, right?
He was dry cleaner. Yep. You know what I love? One of my favorite scenes in All in the Family was when Sammy Davis Jr., a Jew like us, he kissed Archie Bunker. Oh my God, the look on his face, a African-American man in the 70s kissing him on the cheek. Oh, I loved it. Sammy Davis Jr. was so special. I saw him in concert in Vegas. Oh, I loved him. Oh, Candyman, baby.
My favorite scene, and it was one that we're going to show something that was the most watched TV show in history soon. But my favorite scene in All in the Family, and we'll move on, is when Mike and Gloria moved to California, and Mike grabs Archie, and Archie finally hugs him, and Mike says to him, And it wasn't a dry eye in my house when Mike says, Archie, I think you always knew how much I loved you. And then Archie just starts crying, looks out the window as they go away. Because remember their contentious relationship, Meathead and
Rob Reiner. Yeah.
Rob Reiner was a liberal, and Archie was this conservative. I don't like anyone. And brilliant writing. And Lear did those two shows. Now, here's a show.
By the way, before you go on, they just did a poll: the greatest sitcom of all time. I Love Lucy.
Okay, we'll get there.
And that stands the test of time. You can watch that today, and
let's talk about. Let's get there first, and I'll go back. If my damn technical thing. You're doing now. Great. I happen to think
you only fucked up
this woman right here.
Oh yeah.
Say what you just said again. It's the number one sitcom.
Number one sitcom ever produced, ever made. They, the 3-camera shoot. They came up with that. They invented that. The sitcom 3-camera shoot. By the way, I at Desilu Studios is where I did Lizzie McGuire. It's on Cahuenga in Hollywood, and the Golden Girls. My friend David Willis warmed up the audience, so he had me and my grandma front row because my grandma's favorite show was Golden Girls at one time, and we met all the girls and all that stuff. But it was the same stage where they filmed I Love Lucy. It was.
Could you imagine that? You're standing there.
It was magical.
You know what that analogy is, Brad? What you just said. You're standing on the same stage at that. If you saw the movie, Nicole Kidman was brilliant as Lucille Ball. Who played? God damn it! Who played Desi Arnaz? It was phenomenal. Big actor. Javier Bardem.
Antonio Banderas.
I think it was Javier Bardem.
Oh, Javier Bardem. Yes.
Yes. And you find out that how brilliant Desi was as a businessman, and Lucille Ball was in on all the scripts. It's like you write your shit and you act in it, and stuff like that. Brilliant, and just you're right. You're standing there doing with the Golden Girls and the same state. It's the same as you hear athletes used to say. I remember old Yankee Stadium, and Don Mattingly would say, "I'm standing in the same. This is where Joe DiMaggio and Mickey Mantle and Babe Ruth stood." Yeah. So, and I'm sure you've been on other stages like that. I want to get to this sitcom because it bothered me. Howard Stern has a famous line about this sitcom right here. This is Gilligan's Island, right? Yeah. He did two things. That's a professor on the left, played by Russell Johnson. Natalie Schaefer in the middle, played Mrs. Howell. And that's Dawn Wells, actually a native of Las Vegas. She passed away recently, but she's been living in Vegas her whole life. Looked great till the very end. It's about the castaways on this deserted island, and Gilligan and the skipper, and these two beautiful women, and Mary Ann and Ginger. Two things. The professor was a genius, and Howard Stern said, he goes, "Let me ask you something, Robin. If the professor could make a radio out of a coconut, how come he can't fix a hole in the fucking boat to get him off?" And then he said the funniest thing ever. And this, Brad and I have talked about this. If you're on a deserted island with two beautiful women and you're Skipper and Gilligan, why the hell would you want to get off the island? Remember the halter top? Mary Ann, Barbara Eden of I Dream of Jeannie, and Mary Ann, that character. They were the first ones to show their navels. They had those halter tops. This is 1968.
Right.
Brad, when you're growing up, when you're getting your erogenous zones start to work and your hormones, nothing better than Gilligan's Island.
That's true. I got to tell you something. So I did a lot of warm up, over the years, and I was warming up a TV show at Radford that was in Studio City, and that's where they filmed Gilligan's Island. And before they did all the renovation, I saw the lagoon. I stood in front of the lagoon. Yes, they hadn't it. It just was like a big pool, a concrete pool, and then they fill it up and put the trees in there. Oh my goodness, I was so happy. I just stood there and looked at this beautiful creation. I go, man, this is still here. And now it's totally different. But oh my goodness, I saw the lagoon without the water.
That's great.
Those shows are great. I mean, come on. They don't make movies like they used to. They don't make sitcoms. Some of these sitcoms are so bad. Oh, I mean, Fish, unwatchable. From I mean, after the opening, the tease, you're like, I can't watch the rest of this. I mean, and then they have, the what do they call it? The laugh track. That's the great one. They have a live audience, but they season it with the laugh track. It's
Everything's a laugh. Yeah.
yeah, no, it's
Well,
terrible.
you segue, you go from that, and then you have, the Gilligan's Island was a farce, and of course the Jeffersons and All in the Family were educational and phenomenal dialogue and comedy. Then you had a show that was actually, when I show this picture, you'll remember what it was, and you'll tell our audience about it. It's a number one. The last episode of this, along with the Cheers last episode, was the most watched in TV history. It's the greatest dramedy, which is a word, about a drama and comedy I ever saw. I've never asked you about this. You might have worked with some of these people. What's your take on this show? Remember that?
One of the greatest in history, MASH. Yes.
Oh, yes.
I saw when I was 12 years old. I went to Fox with a family friend, Mr. Pfeiffer, and he brought me to SWAT. I watched SWAT being filmed, and then I watched MASH being filmed. And oh my goodness,
you saw
great.
MASH being filmed?
We walked in. Yep, it was where they filmed NYPD Blue, Soundstage 9. We walked in, and there they were, the tents and everything. Oh my God, I saw Loretta Swit, and I saw
Hot Lips.
I saw them all. I saw them all. It was I'm 12 years old. It was really cool. And then when I went on
talk about what that show meant to you and your family. That was one of the shows that might.
Wait. You cut me off. Then I went on the Paramount lot and I saw my favorite show. I went into the stage. There was nothing there. The Brady Bunch. And then I got to go and watch Happy Days being filmed when I was 16. It was incredible. Oh, man. Watching Happy Days live was such a treat. Mr. Sid Galper, he was a landscape architect. He did Tom Bosley's house, all the landscaping. So Tom Bosley, Mr. C, gave him 4 tickets for me and my family, and it was so much fun. I went with Mr. Galper too, and we had great seats. And it was the bird episode when Fonzie had the bird, his pet bird and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So good.
Back to MASH though for a second. Medical, Army, surgical hospitals, and it was during the Korean War. And I heard, and I know you know this, that Alan Alda is such a genius, and a lot of the characters on there ad-libbed a lot of their dialogue. And again, dry eyes and scenes. I don't want to give it away. When McLean Stevenson played one of the Henry something, I forgot the name of the first lieutenant colonel, and when he dies in a helicopter crash. And Gary Berghoff, who had no career after this, other than the Love Boat, which is what Brad's going to do soon when he has no career. He played Radar, and just so when you can go back to scenes in certain shows and you remember them 40 years later, it had an impact on you. And there's so many great episodes. That thing ran 21 years? Ran a lot.
Like shows don't run 21 years. It's ran over 21 years as The Simpsons. I was
Gunsmoke.
Gunsmoke, that's right. I was in the commissary at Fox when The Simpsons was on Tracy Ullman's show, just a little clip, and that's where it started. Can you imagine? It's still on the air on Fox, The Simpsons.
Fantastic. Bart Simpson, Homer, come on. I mean, come on. It's insane.
And then
it's great.
Park, that's still going strong. I love it.
Look at my favorite. We'll get to that. I want to ask what your favorite. My favorite cartoon series is Family Guy. I love. Oh my God!
Oh, you like
it
Family
is
Guy?
So. Wow.
Great.
Seth MacFarlane is on another planet. Let me show you something else, Brad. I know you know all these people, but
please don't.
Well, let me show you because we go back and forth. But this guy was big in the '60s. But you got to think about things that happened back then. That when you look at things back then and say it's way ahead of its time, this guy was way ahead of its time. That's Rod Serling from the Twilight Zone. I mean, what a mind! All the stories he came up with, and then he was the narrator of it. And you had the Twilight Zone movie. Now you had the one with then the new Twilight Zone with not Tyler Perry, the other guy did it. It was Tyler Perry. some of the most incredible science fiction, outer space, crazy stories. Do you agree?
Oh, yes, and I just saw something on online. He passed away at 50 years old. He had a heart attack. 50 years old. You know how young that is? Oh,
Yes.
man, God rest his soul. He was amazing. His voice. Oh, what a voice, right? Rod Serling. Yep. Yep.
Brad Grunberg and Eric Fish Snyder doing a show called Fat Fish. It's so bad, it's not even in the Twilight Zone.
Oh, God. What are these? Oh, by the way, you mentioned the emails. What kind of emails are we getting? Thanks for sharing. Why don't you
Well,
share?
it's constructive criticisms a lot, which
Oh,
I'll
that's
share
good.
some with you, and some it's a I want to brag. It's a lot of kudos. It's great. I just told you they want more stuff.
Yeah,
Every podcast has a theme or an identity, and
yeah,
ours is two guys
yeah.
that reconnect after 30 years, and have so much in common with our backgrounds in LA, but we share a past that we're so proud of. And if you live in your past like I do, and it's a great past, share it. Because why not? There's a lot of great things like this. Brad does a podcast with Lauren Francesca, and one of these guys was on it. Talk about that
Oh,
show right there. That's the Brady Bunch, right, Brad?
that's
Now,
the Brady Bunch. Yes,
now,
sir.
now, what Florence Henderson's looking at right there is Barry Williams' package, because Barry Williams played Greg Brady. Not Brad. He played what was it? Not was it wasn't Greg. What was his
Barry
name?
Williams played Greg Brady.
Greg Brady, right? Who's the
I
middle
was
guy?
I was lucky enough to have him on because my agent, Mike Eisenstadt, he represents Barry for 25 years. And you know why Barry made it? Because, and I talked about this when Lauren and I had him on, he embraced being Greg Brady. A lot of these actors, like like the Fonz. I'm not the Fonz. My name is Henry Winkler. And even Jason Alexander, he goes, I'm not George Costanza. My name is Jason. It gets to a point where people start calling you the character. And I can understand that. But well, Barry embraced it. He went on all the tours, he went on everything. And he said, I am Greg Brady. And I have touched lives playing this character. I mean, Johnny Bravo is one of the great episodes of the Brady Bunch. And I know every episode, seen it a million times.
It's America's Family. It's a
Yeah,
guy divorced and a woman divorced, and they have the kids together, like in that movie when Did You Get Egg Roll, right? With Lucille Ball, I think it was. Make a long
yeah.
story short, there was a lot of stuff. There was a lot of innuendos going on that Barry was sleeping with Florence Henderson, the mom, but he was really making out with Marsha. Can I pull the thing up again?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Marsha is on. If you're looking at
Right.
the blonde with the long hair at the left. Of course, Florence Henderson
Right.
has her head down looking at Barry's package, and so is Robert Reed, who really wanted Barry's
You
package.
say Barry's package again?
I did it. I usually leave that
No,
for you.
you said you told me not to talk about the packages. You just repeated the package.
Because you're talking about your own package. I'm talking about Barry's package.
I can't find my package, but anyway.
You can't find your package.
Let me tell you,
this is so great.
So
we're taking what? Let me throw it at you. What's your favorite sitcom of all time? And did you share any of the ones I just showed? Gilligan's Island, the Lucy Show. Did you watch them with your parents?
I love Lucy. Seinfeld. I used to watch with my grandma every Thursday, 9:00 on NBC. I love Curb Your Enthusiasm because I was on it, and I love Larry David. What a guy. But I also love the Norman Lear era. I mean, there's certain things that make me laugh, and I know comedy is my business. I know what's funny and I know what's not funny. And sorry, you're not funny, sir, but I carry you with my brilliance. Yeah, I know. You should be very lucky.
We missed a couple. You said everything. I watch it, my family, on the family. It was a great sitcom also. Cheers was a great sitcom. I love Cheers, right? Woody Harrelson, even the old coach, Nicholas Colasanto, of course, Ted Danson. You remember Sanford and Son, how great that was?
Oh,
Red Fox.
I posted something with Pat Morita, who played Arnold on the Happy Days, and he played Mr. Miyagi. He talked about a situation that he had, and he went to Red Fox, and he said, I'm going to close on my first house. I need $3,000. And Red looked at him, and he told the secretary, get me my checkbook. And he got the checkbook, and he starts writing the check. He goes, listen, I don't want any promissory note. I don't want any IOUs. I don't want any of that bullshit. I want you don't pay me back, but you help somebody else like I'm helping you. And you know what Pat Morita said? I've done it a couple of times. And that's what Red Fox was all about. He was so dirty in Vegas, right? Oh, that's why.
I can't. He had a guy open for him called Slappy White. That was his opening act.
I love Slappy White. Yeah.
And he opens up I saw this, God, 1978. It was actually at the Forum, and Slappy White walks on stage, and he goes, "Look how big this motherfucking audience is! It's as big as Tony Field's twat." And everyone
no.
And if you don't know what Tony Fields is, he's one of these women that was a comedian that was always on. If you were a comedian like Brad Grunberg, you're always on what's called the Hollywood Squares. You're not good enough to make it as a comedian, but you're good enough to be on Love Boat and be on the Hollywood Squares. That was Tony Fields. So, Brad, we got 14 minutes to go. I want to do with you a couple of predictions for the bowl games. I got my ideas. And then I want to do a testimonial to you. Let me talk about what this show meant to me from February 24th on and our great guests. So tonight, Arizona plays Oklahoma. If you take your heart out of it, you know how much this means to Arizona if they could pull this upset of a top 10 team? Tell me what it means to the University of Arizona.
Oh, well, we've had such a horrendous football program for the last maybe 8 years. Horrible, just horrible. And Jed Fish, he's turned it around. And this is the season he turned it around. He switched quarterbacks. And unbelievable. And I'm going to tell you something. Life is momentum, good and bad. When you're rolling, baby, right? And when things go bad, they go bad, you know? And Arizona wins. They do win today because Arizona they ended the season very strong. I mean, they blew out these teams by like 30 points, you know? But I think it's Arizona's time. It's going to be a great game, but I think Arizona is going to pull it out. What's your prediction?
I'm a Texas guy, and our biggest rivalry is Oklahoma. So you're asking me. I want Arizona. My kid went there. You went there. It means so much to a school. You just said it. That's known for Lute Olson in the basketball program. When you were going to school, it's still a big basketball program. What this would do for recruiting, they're already going to kick ass. And I know they're going into the Big 12 with Colorado. They're God. As we leave 2023, one thing that was great about 2023 is we had one last year, the Pac-12. But Arizona's leaving. What a great way to leave the conference. SC did it last night with the big upset of Louisville. Come on, Arizona. Take out those Boomer Sooners, those crud-eating, toothless, inbred fucking Oklahoma Sooner people where their cousins and mothers date the dance. That's how I feel. Now, let's fast forward to Monday. The big two games. I want your predictions. The first one is Michigan, Alabama. Who do you like?
Michigan. This is how it's going to go. Alabama is a great team. Alabama is so well coached. But let me tell you, Michigan is well coached. And everybody's back from last year. And with all the bullshit with Harbaugh, I mean, I don't even know what the NCAA is doing. They're like picking on him. They're looking for anything. So he wins it all, and then he goes to the NFL. That's what I think is going to happen. Michigan beats him, and then some time passes, and then he decides to go back to the NFL because he was the coach of the San Francisco 49ers. But that's my prediction of that game. What about you? What do you say?
I will go next one. I disagree. I'm going with Alabama. You got two stud coaches. You got two stud quarterbacks. You got Nick Saban, legend, Jim Harbaugh legend. J.J. McCarthy, quarterback of Michigan, great. Milroe, the kid at Alabama, that 4th and 31 that he completed against Auburn to get him into this game was just epic. I like Alabama. Now, your heart is with Arizona. The next game that night is Texas.
Oh, there we go. It's you.
And Washington. I got to be honest with you, man. You got hard. That's a tough game for my Longhorns. I would not be shocked if Washington wins that game because their cornerback Michael Penix Jr. will be a top 5 pick in the draft. I'm rooting for Texas, obviously. I'm nervous, I think the winner of the Texas-Washington game wins a national championship.
Okay. I'm telling you, Washington, I mean, when they played Oregon, I thought Oregon was going to beat it the second time.
Me too.
Washington's quarterback is absolutely amazing. Maybe a little Kenny Stabler in there, the lefty,
Give me. See that gets my erogenous zone. That gets my package going. So, and I know where mine is. All right. One last thing about sports with testimonial. I'm a big NBA guy. I love LeBron. I love everything he does in the community. Shut the fuck up when it compares to Christmas Day and your games against the NFL. 29.0 million people watch the Eagles-Giants. The shitty game, right? 14.4 million people were the total viewers of all NBA games combined. All right? The Lakers and Celtics went up against the Raiders and Chiefs. 4.2 million watched it, mostly in 27.6 million watched the Raiders and Chiefs. I love the NBA. I love everything about it. I love the competition. I'm rooting for your Warriors because of you and Kerr. But stop. Nothing can compare to the NFL. You can't beat it. And stop, LeBron. Stop looking like you're so sad when people are watching Mahomes over you. Because people would rather watch Taylor Swift, her breasts come out of her thing, than watch you and your breasts come out of your thing. Yeah.
Now you asked me about that. It's interesting, that it's really helped the NFL. Taylor Swift, first, she's a wonderful person. I talked to Tony Orlando about her, and because he knows her father, and her father's very successful in his own right, but she is really a special person. You don't see tattoos on her. You don't see her drinking and drugs, I mean, she is really, really something really special. What are you doing now?
I was one of her songs I was doing, but I said, I have a song that she does, and I had the thing. I said, it's not going to work. So I didn't tease you on that. She's phenomenal. She's a multi-billionaire, and I hope everything works out. I'm glad she's sad the Chiefs lost. We started this thing February, right around Valentine's Day. No, that's the February 28th, and we had, of the 42 shows, we had about 25 guests. And I speak for Brad, and I'll let Brad do the close on this. Of all our guests we've had, from Eric Audet to Pete Koch to Rod Martin of the Raiders, Ash Gindy, Tony and John Orlando, Vanessa Steros. We've had gurus on that help with self-help. Andrew Klein, who's the guy that farted all the time and talked about poop. I forgot his name. It's great.
Oh, PJ.
We had a lot of guests.
Yeah.
And then, as we do in the Academy Awards, we had a guest that we lost, so we'll pay tutelage to him. Dave Brown was a wonderful person, a wonderful friend of ours. Since this podcast started, he passed away right 2 weeks after he did the podcast. But the great thing about this podcast, it's going to go forward in 2024. We're going to finally get sponsors. We're going to finally get paid. We're going to finally be able to see our packages. But the best package that I could ever ask for is the package right here between me and this guy.
It's been great, man. You are a special guy. We have chemistry. We always had chemistry back in the day. And it just keeps getting better every show. And the guests we've had have been phenomenal. And we just know what we're doing. It's like one of those things. Here's a nice pun: fish to water. Peanut butter and jelly. I mean, we listen, an hour's almost up. I feel we've talked for 10 minutes. It just goes so fast because we just banter back and forth. Like you said to me, we're going to be two guys in a bar chopping it up. And that's really what we are. And I'm really looking forward to 2024. And we'll start off with a great new show for the new year. And I just want to thank you. I mean, I I feel for you, with your mom and all the stuff that you've been through. But you've always showed up, and you're a professional, and you make me laugh. And this is a great thing, man. And what else? This is going to lead to other things we're going to do together. And we're not going to talk about them because we don't want to get any Ken horrors, right? But
Just want to get a whore.
wait, I'm sorry. What did you say?
Just want to get a whore for you.
Oh, jeez, I know.
Hey, you know what? Yeah, I mean, we could sit there and go down on each other about how much we love each other. That's the main thing. I gained a brother in this guy, and I have two brothers that I love. He's got a brother he loves, but I gained a brother in this guy. And you guys don't want to hear all this mushy tushy stuff, but I will tell you what. It's I do this for one reason. I have fun. It's fun. It's cathartic. It's therapy. And
absolutely,
we'll continue it for you guys. Keep your emails. Fishgrunny1 fishgrunny1 @gmail.com, and I'll get that on the banner next week, so you can keep giving us emails. And if you want us to talk about something, you want us to to react to something, let us know, and I'll go over with Brad, and we'll do it for you.
We love to. The other thing I want to say is I want all this hate in the world to stop. The wars, innocent people are being killed. It's terrible. I mean, Ukraine, Israel, Gaza. I mean, and then we're going to have an election next year. I mean, it's just that. I mean, the world's in shambles. I mean, it's just sad. I just want peace, happiness, love. That's how I live my life now. Is positivity and love. That's it. So hopefully,
I'm just going to make breaking news right now. I'm going to run for president. Okay.
Can I be your vice?
No, you're not going to be my vice. You're going to be my chief of staff. I need someone that can get me stuff. You're like going to be the chief of staff is almost like the personal assistant to Woody Harrelson or Clooney or any big actor.
Okay.
You're the guy that says, "Hey, you know what, Mr.
I'm your
President?
wingman. You want me to be
your
wingman?
Mr. President? Guess what? Playboy Mansion tomorrow night, 8:00. Okay, and you get me there. You get me on Air Force One, and of course, can you imagine me as the president of the United States?
I'll get you to another. I'll get you to another party. But the Playboy Mansion. By the way, I don't know if you know this, but the Hef's house was sold to his next door neighbor. So now his next door neighbor has this huge piece of property.
Well, you talked about being on the set that I Love Lucy and Don Manley with the Yankees. Could you imagine having that house at Hef and you said this is where he had a threesome with the girls from Three's Company, and this is where Steve McQueen was going down on Bridget Bardot. I mean, God, the people I saw. The best thing about going to the mansion, I'll make it quick, is going through that line and looking at all the stars that look at you like, who the fuck are you? Then you get in there and you see it's star after star, and Robert Evans, the producer, was there, the big producer of Godfather, holding court, and Ash knew everybody. And I'm 22 years old, and I'm like the kid in Almost Famous. I'm like with this big rock band star, and all he is the bartender. But Hep thought he was this Arab sheik. It was great. We continue this banter next year, buddy. I love you.
I love you too. Thanks for a great 42. On to bigger, better, and we're going to make a lot of people laugh because that's what we're all about, right? Keeping people entertained for an hour a week. And I think that wraps up 2023. 42 is in the books. That is Eric the Fish Schneider. I'm Brad Grunny Grunberg, a.k.a. Snacks. We will see you in 2024. Thank you so much.
Vote for me on Bar Boss. And Dave Linden, you're coming with us.
Right now, everybody go to Fish's Facebook page and vote every day. This he's in the 10th spot. Let's get Fish the big win, $20, and we get to help beautiful Molly.
And 2024, no more bullying.
No more bullying, and help the Klein family. And That's really the most important thing. Get rid of this fucking bullying. It's enough. I've had enough of all this because I was bullied, and I just want I want kids to be happy. Just live in harmony, you know. So, all right, Dave Linden, take us home, baby.
You've been listening to the Fat Fish Podcast, heard on all your favorite platforms. Until next time.
I love you.